Hey everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of Platform App Builder Certification Series. So today we're going to talk about automation process, right? As a platform app builder, you need to know about automation process. This is very important from your daily Salesforce activity. Because most of the time, if you are a functional consultant, right, you won't be writing code. So most of the time you will be dealing with declarative stuff to automate the process. So in that case, you need to know a few automation tools, which is available out of box. So the number one we're going to talk about is the process builder. So process builder is a very handy automation tool. So the way the process builder works, think about a scenario, right? An opportunity, like you have an opportunity, right? And imagine you wanted to get a field updated on opportunity. Let's say we have a closed state, right? Which is not editable by a user, and you want the system to automatically update, but not today. But for whatever reason, you want the closed state to be at 2 days, 2 days later, 2 days after a closed one deal, right? So in that case, you can use the process builder. So process builder happens behind the scene. You don't need any user intervention, right? So let's say you close the deal today, and then process builder will kicks in and update the date, say 2 days later to the close field. So that's one of the scenario. Another scenario, let's say what we're gonna do today, very basic scenario. So we have, if you remember, if you're following along, if you know that I have a custom object that's called the favorite beer, right? So Beer Friday. So what I wanted to do is that let's say when the quantity of the beer consumed is greater than 10, it will get a entry into the log. Very basic requirement, right? So just because I wanted to demonstrate how the process will work, right? So that will do the job. And then I will also show you how you can use Apex code, because when I was teaching Platform Developer 1, I've created one process builder using Apex code. So you don't have to know the details of it, but I'm just gonna show you anyways for your own reference, right? And then we have something called flows. Flows are very useful. If you wanted a guided visual interface, right? Let's say you call, let's say you are a customer service company, right? You call your customer, right? And if you wanted a guided interface, like where you can enter the username, password, username, address, click next, and if you wanted to have a guided interface, right, where you can enter the information on the screen. So that's where the flow comes in the picture. Flow is used for more complex stuff, right? You can do a lot of complex logic using a flow. We will talk about the flow in our next episode, but today is all about process builder. But just keep in mind that flow is very important, because if you want a guided interface, then flow will be your best bet to go with, right? And then we have something called approval process. So approval process is very interesting, right? Most of the time in your organization, you might have heard about approval process, right? Things going to your manager to getting approved. So on that line of thinking, right, let me give a very simple scenario. You have a timesheet, right? Most of the companies prefer their employees to fill timesheet at the end of the week or beginning of the week, whatever the process they have in place. So most of the time, what happens is that you fill a timesheet, right? It goes to your manager to approve it. So that's pretty much the approval process in Salesforce is about. You create a timesheet entry and you click on submit. It will go to an approver, right? So that's where the approval process kicks in. Approval process is a separate topic. We're going to talk about it once we finish flows, process builder. Then we're going to jump into approval process just to do hands-on, because I believe hands-on is very important rather than just reading from a slide. I don't prefer doing that. Cool. Right, so that's one of the things I want to talk about. And then we have something called workflow, which is an old technology, right? Which is pretty much does similar like a process builder. Most of the companies have workflows, right? But the Salesforce is not going to invest the time and resource to update the functionalities in a workflow. Instead, they prefer, if you're starting out fresh, right? Prefer to use process builder. Just have a look at a process builder. That's what they often recommend. But that being said, if you have a workflow in place, Salesforce won't be taking that functionality away anytime soon, so you can still keep on using it. But if you have an opportunity to migrate to Process Builder, then yeah, that's one of the things you can have a look, right? Cool. So the first thing first, as usual, my opening statement, right? By now, please log into your org. Please do not use Customer Sandbox to test it, right? It's a very bad practice. I've seen people jumping into Customer Sandbox. Oh yeah, we can do that. No, absolutely not. That's not a place to do any sort of hands-on. You want to do hands-on, register for a free org. It won't cost you any money, so you can have that org for life. So play around with it and do whatever you want, right? So cool. So I've logged into my org. It takes me to setup. I mean, if you don't know how to go to setup, which I expect you should know by this stage, go to the gear cog icon and go to the setup, right? And it takes you here, right? So in the quick find, you can always look for process. So process builder, right? So what we're gonna do, so I'm gonna create, so the requirement I gave in the beginning, right? The requirement, right? We have an object called a beer Friday, right? Where user who drinks on Friday evening, so we record that information, right? It's a fictitious, company. So, so what we wanted to do, the requirement is whoever drinks more than 10 pints, right, should get logged into a beer log object. It's a custom object. You don't have to put anything fancy. For now, we're going to put a simple message called log created. End of story, right? Nothing fancy about it. Okay, and after that, I might gonna talk about the account contact. This is something which I created when I was teaching guys about Platform Developer 1 certification series, where I have demonstrated how to use the process builder using Apex code. So I'm gonna show you what it's all about, just to give you a context. Cool. Okay, so we are in a nice looking page. So as usual, if you don't know how to go to Process Builder, so type process here and scroll down here under Process Automation, Process Builder, right? And then I'm gonna click on New, and we say Beer Info. You can please keep meaningful name, right? And this is Beer Info process. Please keep a valid description as well, and select one. What do you want it to do? Record changes, right? So if there's a platform event, so you can use that as well. If it's invoked by other process, if you want this to be invoked by another process builder, you can do that as well. But we are not doing any of this stuff, right? So what we're gonna do, our requirement is simple. When you create a record under Beer Friday, it should create a entry to beer log. Simple, very nice and easy. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna do save. Okay, now that's where magic happens. So it looks like a flowchart, pretty nice, right? So, if you're used to flowcharts, I presume. So start, forget about start. We can't do anything about it. Add object, this is where the real magic happens. You need to identify the triggering point, right? So in our case, we are dealing with favorite Beer Friday object. So go to add object, right? And then find an object, right? So-called Beer Friday, right? Select here. Okay. So what do you want this option to be? Do you want this process builder to be initiated when a record is created, or when the record is created or edited at the same time? Most of the cases you might go for the second option, but in our case, we're gonna go for the first option. Nice and simple, right? Cool. Okay. Man, hang on a second. Beer Friday, right? Right. Like that. Okay, this one. Save. Okay, right. So that's saved. Now add a criteria. Under what scenario you want this process builder to be triggered? Right. You've added a root object. That's fantastic, but it should be triggered and with certain condition, right? So what we're gonna do, so we're gonna say quantity greater than 10. So if people who are the binge drinkers who wanted to drink more and more pints of beer on Friday night, it's fine. I mean, they might as well, but we wanted to log that information. So so condition are met, right? If you don't want any condition to met, you can take this off, or you can use formula field. So find a field. So what we after? We're gonna use this quantity, right? I'm gonna choose, and we're gonna use greater than 10, right? So this is what we want. And so this process builder should be triggered when you have a quantity set to 11 or above, right? So save. Okay, so the condition is set. Now what should happen when you meet this threshold or criteria, right? So we're gonna add an action, right? And so what we're gonna do, see, we have a lot of options here in this case. This is where you have to pay attention to it, right? So you can create a record. So I wanted to emphasize on one point here. There is no option to delete any information using a process builder. You can't delete a record using a process builder. That's why you can use Apex code. That's one of the thing I wanted to demonstrate, talk about it after this hands-on, right? So in our case, we wanted to create a beer log record, right? So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So create a record and new beer log, right? And find a record. So we're gonna do beer log, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna add this log. Just put a dummy value, or you can use the formula field as well, right? But I'm gonna use it very simple because I wanted to demonstrate in a very simple way. So this guy drinks too much, right? Just for this, fun sake. Okay, so we're gonna save. So that's pretty much, I mean, if you wanted to schedule it for the later time, you can do that as well. But I'm not going to do that. So you can set a schedule. So when you want this things to execute. So I do not want to do that, right? Sometimes you might have a requirement, like I said, right? Your opportunity closed, but you wanted to set the close date after 2 days. So you can do that using schedule task, right? Schedule action here. So, but we're not going to do any of the stuff. We want the action to be reflected straight away, right? Okay, so don't forget to activate. This is the most important step, right? Okay, confirm it, right? So now we have a process builder in place. Let's dive into our Beer Friday object. So we're gonna do, so we're gonna go here, and you know what? There might be some dummy beer log record as well. So we're gonna delete this way. Okay, just to demonstrate. Okay, so we got none here, right? Okay, so we're gonna go to Beer Friday, and we're gonna create new, and quantity you wanted to put at 11. Type of beer you can put whatever you want. Contact we're gonna put whatever you want. Beer date you're gonna put whatever you want. Save. Okay, so saved. Okay, so if there is an issue with the process builder, right, it won't save, right? It will complain that whatever. So let's look at a beer log, okay? And you're gonna just refresh it. Okay, recent review, nothing is there. Okay, so that means it didn't get created. Okay, so let's look at why it didn't get created. So let's go back to, so in this scenario, you can see that things are not working fine for whatever reason, okay? So let's go and troubleshoot it. So I'm teaching a troubleshooting step as well. It can happen, right? I mean, so beer info, right? So I might have done something wrong. So we have the quantity, so beer Friday, right? And we have so condition are met, right? All condition met, beer Friday, quantity, greater than, number, right? Equal to 10, right? And so what's so if it is true, right, condition are met, and let's look at this one. only when record is created, which is great. So immediate action, so name beer log, string, the guy drink too much, so this is what the string, so beer log, and so we have, not sure if I have, okay, maybe I haven't activated for whatever reason, could be, that's one of the reasons why. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so we're gonna try again, 11, amber ale, so put whatever you want, and it's 17, it doesn't matter. Okay, go here, beer log, right, there you are. So the problem was it was not activated for whatever reason, right? So that's one of the troubleshooting stuff. If something doesn't work, go back to the process builder and check it out, right? So now we have this record created, right? This guy drinks too much, right? Pretty simple. That's how the process builder works, right? And okay, so now this is one of the scenario we talked about. Let me take you back to one of the process builder I built a long time ago. This is so contact. So what will happen, right? So this process builder, it's triggered by an account. When an account flag set to no, right? So let's say, I mean, we have this flag called account flag, right? So active flag. So when a user set the active flag set to no, so the requirement is that all the contact associated with the with this specific account should be deleted, right? There's no exception to the rule. So that's how we built it. So, but you know one thing, right? There is no way you can delete information using a process builder, right? Because you can't delete it. Obviously, you can't delete it because I've demonstrated that there are no option there. So in that case, we need to use an Apex code. So that's how we use the Apex code. So similar action, delete contact, you go. So into action, you should choose an Apex. Remember, we picked up create a record. Instead of picking up that option, you will choose an Apex. So then after that, I point the Apex class to existing class. Now I will take you to an existing class, right? So let's go to dev console, and remember the name of this. You right click, okay, copy here, and go to the developer console. My apologies, I didn't want to talk about code much, but just to give you context, because if you are going to talk to a technical consultant or a developer, you need to know as a functional consultant whether you can use Apex from a process builder or not. The thing which is possible, right? So go to if you know how to use the developer console, go to search and file. Let's go and look at the contacts. So I'm going to open this. So I've created an invocable method, right, where I pass the list of account. You can pass the list of account ID. And what I'm going to do is that I'm actually looking for all the contacts associated with account ID and deleting it. Boom. That's pretty much it is, right? So that will take care of it. So whenever you take a account's active flag to no, it will trigger this Apex code behind the scene, and voila, your contacts are deleted. So that's pretty simple, right? Because think about it, right? If you can do code by yourself, that's good enough, right? Because you don't have to bother the developer every single time, right? I mean, perhaps if you have a requirement like this, you can ask the developer, hey, look, can you create an Apex class for me, invocable Apex class, so I can invoke using a process builder? And, so I don't have to bother you all every time. So this is one of the options. Keep it in consideration. This is possible, right? Right, so that's pretty much what I want to talk about today. So I hope you learned something today from this session. So greetings and adios from New Zealand. Bye-bye.